Hello friends, good morning. I decided to come across your way this morning through this beautiful view of where I live in La Motte, Franjouk. I'm not sure you'll be able to see the whole place, but you see where you've got the white building. That's where I live. They call it White City. It's a building that was designed for those who built the dam. There's a massive dam here. All right, this building were actually built for them to live in some years back, but obviously we now, occupied. They've released the building for public residency, and here it's where you have where they call Bosbo. This place is actually a community of those who were into forestry. Yes, most of these people used to work in the forestry, decades ago. But obviously, it's just become just a normal residential place. A lot of challenge, a lot of poverty, like the story with so many, small communities in South Africa. But the disparity is so huge and it's so clear and glaring. All right, where we live there, it's a bit better. I'm sure you can see it properly, but there are a bit of modern structure. We were able to, by the grace of God, get this place just before me and my wife got married in 2000, and we got married 2010. I think we got the house 2009, but there's still a lot of issue around the houses. The corruption thing, but that's just by the way. All right, but the view here is breathtaking. It's beautiful. Now every morning I come here, and not every morning, maybe weekend, sometimes Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes I come with my children. We just take a walk, across, this hill, all the way down to the back of our residence. But this is a place I believe the Father somehow, in his eternal design, must have planned out for me. Looking back to where I come from, all the way back to Nigeria, then Johannesburg, living in Ennerdale, I can see that my movement with the Father, even in the natural occurrence, deals with particular things he would like me to know, to address, and to be part of. So ministry basically is your entire life, is your entire movements, the people you meet, the situation and circumstance that are brought across your way. All that is part of ministry. And somehow the Father has brought me to this place. So much happening down there, but if I come up to this point, to this side, of the community, it's a different view, and it's a different concept of perception, particularly, helping me to have, a perspective of the Father's dealing with my life in my work as his servant, as his prophet. I have learned so much, just coming away to this place. Just, sometimes I climb all the way up there. I've never been to the top of the hill there where you have a signal, there's a telecommunication signal. I've never been there, never been to that signal hill, but I've at least climbed to some good levels there, and it's amazing what you begin to hear, you begin to see, looking down the valley, and understanding the challenges that people are going through and facing, but being elevated, as it were, in the spirit, to see and to be able to speak into those challenges spiritually and prophetically. I always come here and I just release a prophetic word over the community. There are a lot of people who are into drugs, into alcohol. As I was coming this morning up the hill, there were three guys. One guy lives in my place there, the residence, and then from this side, drinking and just doing their thing. And and that's just it. It's like there's no hope. It's like they lost. Everything here speaks of, dysfunctionality, and it's like that. This is just one part. I mean, it's like that almost across, the various communities in South Africa. The gap, the difference gap is just too much. All right, you find those that are well off, well educated, have all the opportunity, and they're doing well, and they're living their life, and it's like they don't have an idea of what is happening in the rest of the community. And so you come to this kind of a place, you find people struggling, with drugs, struggling with education, struggling with all kinds of, socioeconomic challenges. And back on the other side where I live, which is just about 80 housing units, you find actually most of the people there are police. They work in the South African police force, and a few people obviously are into other things, business. So, but this was given based on merits. You have to be single back then. You have to be single. You have to be either single or just in a family that is starting up. It's a 2-bedroom apartment, but obviously it needs to be still developed. But by the way, when God, calls me to come to this point, I'm able to see things. I'm able to have insight and understanding of his ways, of his dealings, of his desire, of his counsel, for South Africa and for different parts of South Africa. And obviously I'm living in a place that, like I said, is divided by, not just by color or race, but also by economic, opportunity. Now this is basically a place where it's a winery community. Unfortunately, you may not be able to see it, but back there, those are all winery farm. Now, if you drive straight to town, you get into the very place where you find the rich of the rich, the rich of the richest. This is Franschhoek. The best of South African millionaires live here, and I mean it. If you check, Franschhoek is a hub for the rich. Even people from Europe and America, when they want to come to South Africa for holiday, this is more like their destination. You've got people like Richard Braxton, the Virgin man. He's got his farm here. He's got an hotel here. You've got, some very powerful, Hollywood stars that come here. You've got, government officials, you've got people that are very known in the world that have been here, very influential artists, the top of the top celebrities. They all have been here. Some of them have houses here, but you see, it's all behind the mountains. You can't see it. So, but the Father's brought us here. This is where we live, and but we're not living up there among the rich. We're living here among the richest by the Spirit. All right. But my point is, when God brings you to a place, to a community, to a society, it's important you understand the reason. It's important that you're able to identify why God brings you there, why God, allow you to be there. That you're not just living in a place, by accident, by coincidence. No, there's a divine plan, there's a divine purpose. And I know, I have a reason. I have an understanding why the Father brought me here, right? To touch life. We've tried to help people in time past, do so many things, bring initiatives, but obviously you're still dealing with people who are very hostile to some degree to a foreign voice, if I may put it that way. A lot of people have challenged me in the past that in fact they said it to my face. Some of the whites, coloreds, we don't want you here. You know, you don't have anything to give to us. You know, they still look at you. He's in Nigeria and he's come here. Maybe he's come to sell drugs. And some that even know that, okay, you're a servant of God, they are so afraid, they are so insecure that they don't want to see you. They just don't want you to be around, because they feel that you're going to take everything that, you know, they do. Obviously, that's not my desire. I'm here to just do what God will have me do, and I'm not here by my own doing. I'm not here by accident. I'm here because the Father somehow ordained and designed me to be here. All right, and we've continued to do the work, continue to declare the counsel of God, continue to establish what the Lord will have us to establish. Now we're just believing God to take us further and bring, you know, understanding, even in regards to that which He's saying in terms of the newness of His Spirit. And I really want to believe God that He will grant me even more grace, more insight, wisdom, and understanding to be able to finish this assignment He's committed into my hands. It's not easy, but His grace is more than enough. His grace is sufficient for me. And I want to encourage you this morning, you know, that wherever you find yourself, you may be a South African, you may be a foreigner in the country, and you don't understand what's going on, or you feel discouraged, or sometimes you just feel disorientated. Sometimes I do feel disorientated. You said, do you feel that? Yes, I do. But guess what? The word of the Lord has become my place of solace. It's become the place where I draw strength, I draw understanding, and I draw perspective. Because once you understand the word of God, and you live in accordance to, you know, the identity that the word of God gives to you, you can be anywhere in the world, all right, and function. You function successfully, because the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof, including the people that lives in it. So I'm not really moved to what people have tried to, you know, do to me, or try to stop or stifle, you know, the plan of God for my life. I am just a voice in the wilderness, crying, prepare the way of the Lord, make straight His path. So I want to encourage you, do not give up. Don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on the will of God. Don't give up on what the Lord has spoken. Don't give up on His promise. Don't give up on His will, on His word. Don't give up on truth. Don't give up on integrity. Keep standing for truth. Keep standing for what is right. Keep pushing. Keep praying. Keep doing what the Father will have you do, regardless of who comes, regardless of who supports you, regardless of who doesn't support you. The Lord who sent you will make a way for you. You just listen and follow the direction of His Spirit. And if you continue to do that, I tell you, it's a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. You know, when people hear that, okay, Isaiah is in South Africa, a lot of my friends, well, I don't really have too many friends, but at least those who know me before, who know what I have done, what we've done in Nigeria, and where we were, you know, before, they actually think, hey, this guy here is in South Africa. He must be making some, big buck. You know, he must be coming into some, money and blessings and things like that. Well, they're wrong, because the dynamics of doing ministry and interacting and engaging with the desires of God from nation to nation changes, from city to city changes, and from continent to continent changes. I cannot tell you that I'm living in a condition that is larger than life. No, I'm not like any other man of God there. I'm a prophet. And so you say things that are accurate, that are right, that are truth, and people will not support you for that. I mean, you will get a backlash. But to some degree, at least the Lord have used few people, to be a blessing to me. And the season came, they move on, they stopped. And you keep praying, you keep believing God, you keep trusting God to raise, other people who understand, who are willing, who are ready, to buy into the vision of God in your life, for your life, and for the nation. And so this is how we live, all right? I live by faith completely. When I tell people I live by faith, I really live by faith. I'm just staying put where, God has placed me. I remember while I was in Nigeria praying. In fact, I remember I was with Pastor Douglas that night. I could still remember I was in Ikene praying with him. And the word that came was that you go to South Africa and the Father will give you a house that you did not build. He will give you a house that you did not build. And behold, today I'm living in this house. We're living in this house basically with the grace of God. We've not finally owned it, but we've owned it. Amen. And that is the faithfulness of God. That's the goodness of God, meaning that the pressure over the house is not too much on us. And I thank God for that, because that is a word that has gone ahead even before I came to South Africa. And I'm saying this to basically to encourage somebody that you may feel, how do I survive? How if God is sending me to a mission walk to somewhere, how do I survive there? What am I going to do? How am I going to live? But just trust God. Just trust God, because when you trust the Lord, He will supply all your needs according to His riches in glory. Yes, I thank God for what the Father is doing in my life. Every day we have to trust God. I don't want to speak negatively, but every day I have to trust the Father for provision, and I think the Father wants it that way. I think the Father doesn't want me to get to a point, at least at this point of my walk with Him, where I think I've got everything in terms of material, financial blessing, where I don't need to trust Him, where I don't need to, no, I don't believe that's what the Father wants for me. I'm not saying that's going to be a pattern of my life all through, but I'm saying for now, and I don't know how long that now will be, but I am satisfied. Do I have needs? Yes. Do we have needs as a family? Yes. Are there challenges? Yes. But is the Father responding? Yes. Every day He responds. When the door shuts, when you've used the last milk, and it's like, these children are going to go to school, and there's no milk in the house, there's no bread in the house, and you pray, you believe God, and somehow God sends somebody, God ministered to somebody, to be a blessing. So I am so grateful. I am so grateful to the Father for his response, and this is faith. This is how we learn faith. This is how we trust God. This is how we build our walk with God. This is how we trust God. This is the path of the Christian life. This is a journey, and we've got to embrace it. We've got to understand it. We've got to love it, and stop complaining. Stop complaining about what you don't have. Thank Him, for what He has given to you. Be grateful. All right. When you develop a heart of gratitude, even in times of need, I tell you, the Father will increase His blessing in your life, and that's something that you'll be able to at least be proud of. That your blessing, your miracle came based on your trust, not just on your own idea or trying to make it, or no, that you trusted the Lord, you believed Him, and He provided. He showed up. That's the testimony I have today, that the Father always showed up in my life, for my life, at every given situation, opportunity. He shows up. I thank God for what He's doing in the life of my son, the life of my daughter, and the life of my wife. All right. I've said this before. My son, when he was born, we have some complication. We talk about, he grew up, we didn't know what was wrong, but only to discover that he's suffering from what they call, Asperger, not syndrome now, spectrum, Asperger spectrum, and that you find in part of the autism, community. But we thank God, that the Father is showing up in his life. We pray, seasons of prayer, and believing God that, His word will heal Samuel. Today, Samuel, is being transformed daily. Of recent, suddenly Samuel begins to, his speech, begins to get clear. But beyond getting clear, he is now learning to read. I am so excited and grateful to God for that, because these are things I have thought, God, how are you going to do this thing? But just holding on to His word because we've spent money, we spend time, going from therapist to therapist, you understand, but at a point I just said to my wife, no, we're no longer going to therapists again. We're going to believe God, and we start trusting in the Lord, and He start healing him. Today we thank God for the hand of the Lord upon his life, and he loved God. He just loves God. His heart is really seeking. He wants to know. He wants to really please God. Every time he hears a Messianic song, his spirit just jumps up. So that's God, and I'm grateful to God, for what he's done in the life of Samuel. The same with my daughter Jemima and my wife. But we still all need prayer. We need prayer to push on, to believe God, to break into this new season. There is something the Father has laid in my heart for South Africa, and I'm praying, I'm believing God that very soon we're going to be seeing even a greater fruit. Not like we've not touched life. Oh, there are countless number of people that we've touched that the Father have used me to transform their life and to impact their life. Some today are even in ministry. So, but we've not started yet. That's the point. That's what I keep telling myself. We've not started yet. We're still pushing. We're still believing God for that great thing. There's something the Father will have me do in this nation that I want to do. I want to finish what I have begun, what He's used me to begin. I want to finish it, right? And so I just want to encourage you. Don't give up your life. Don't give up yourself on yourself. Keep holding on to God. Keep trusting God, because His word is that He will do a new thing. It will spring forth, and you're going to see, all right, that hand of the Lord over your life. So this is just what I want to share with you this morning in this beautiful, scenery. I enjoy this place. Nice breeze, nice weather. All right, today at least the weather is beautiful, and I just thank God for giving us, a place like this to enjoy. His presence, his face, his glory, and and just to enjoy life and keep enjoying His presence and His word and keep celebrating His goodness. All right. So thank you so much for being part of this program this morning. Until I come your way again, remain blessed and keep your eyes on the Lord. Bye bye.